Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Pradyumna. I'm fundamentally a MBBS doctor turned life coach who's currently working in the sphere of not just personal growth and development as a whole, but niching down to the basics of happiness, how this fundamental building block of one's life can be used to grow, outperform, and sustain success at all levels. So let me invite Sandeep sir on stage, on screen, to brief you about what we'll be doing today, how we'll be going about it, and tell us essentially about what and why we are here, what we are doing and why we are here. Sandeep sir, over to you.
Wonderful, wonderful to see all of you. Thank you, Dr. Pradimna, and thank everyone for making some time for this webinar on Sunday evening. So again, our gratitude for joining in. And as already mentioned by Dr. Pradimna, we are just going to share some of the aspects of happiness coaching and why it is so relevant in today's date. That's what we'll be doing as we proceed further. So at this point in time, why we are talking about the happiness coaching and what is it that is leading to a kind of need in the society for happiness. That's what has been discussed all around the world now. And you'd be amazed to know that this search for happiness has been there for ages and millennia, maybe more than 2000, 3000, 5000 years ago. All the spiritual progresses are for happiness, pursuit of happiness. But thankfully, in the last few years, last few decades, this has become a structured and very systematic study, which they call as the science of happiness. And there is a reason why this science of happiness is flourishing at this pace. And the reason is, unfortunately, all across the globe, we are now seeing a lot of unrest. It's not just social unrest, it is unrest inside. Each one of us, we have some kind of disturbance in mind. And this is probably in some places is a little high, some places a little low, but this is definitely on a rise. And that's the precise reason why almost all the premier institutes across the globe are now focusing on something called the positive psychology and the science of happiness. So they're trying to figure out why so many people are suffering. We can see all of us, we are getting much better quality of life because of the advent of technology. We can now, everything is at our fingertip. We can just look at our mobile and get every amenity that is required for our quality life. Unfortunately, even in spite of it, so many of us, we are not happy. How many of us you agree with my point? Just write agree. That in spite of all these things, I see children, they are little down. I see adults working in high paying jobs, still not happy. I see people who are retired and still they are struggling. And the reason for this, of course, to a certain extent, the exteriority, the outside situation. But primarily, many of us, we do not know how to channelize our mind to become more happy. And the job of a happiness coach, to an extent, is that. That's why we are here. We feel that this journey is now need to be, this path has to be traversed through by many people who become a happiness coach and share and flourish and spread the ideas of happiness onto others and make others happy. Just in order to understand it, I can see a lot of people agreeing. Thank you very much. So we all experience it. It's absolutely an experience. If you just go out to the road, you can see, go to the park. Even if people pretending to be happy, they're not happy. Go and just ask a few things. You'll find they're struggling. So having all these challenges, we thought, why not we actually think of something which will make people empowered to not just to help them, also to make others happy as well. So I would just urge, again, Dr. Pradimna Singh, if he can come up with, show some of the data which is already there and why at this point in time, it is so important for all of us to address this issue. So yeah, Dr. Pradimna, if you can just share some of the data, and we can really appreciate the serious need of this happiness coaching.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we go on to the statistics, I would love to hear from any one of you as to what will you do. I am giving you a case scenario, and what will you do? Whom will you choose? There is a guy in your office or workplace who's seemingly depressed all the time. He's always cribbing about why things are not in place, why the government is not doing what it should be doing. He's always complaining about why the workplace is not how good it should be, and so on and so forth. At the same time, despite all the challenges, there is another guy in the workplace who's always jovial, joking around, fooling around, and yet at the same time, sincere with his work. Now, my question to you is, as a boss, which one will you choose, person A or person B? The first one or the second one? Let me know in the comment section. B, okay. B. Okay, let me put it the other way around. How many of you will be choosing the first person? Anyone like that? Okay, no one like that. So I am going to tell you some facts, some simple facts about happiness at play, happiness at work. Research and studies have shown certain data and parameters that I'm going to be sharing with you. The first one is optimistic, happy salespeople outshell pessimists by 56%. The data is optimistic, happy salespeople outshell pessimists by a whopping 56%. Now, what does this mean? This simply means the more happy you are, the more sales you are going to generate. It's as simple as that, right? There is another data that I have to share with you. Students, forget about sales, forget about business. Students primed to be happy outperform their neutral peers. This is for students. Okay, we've talked about students, we've talked about sales. Now let me come to my own fraternity, doctors. Happy doctors make diagnosis 19% faster, and this is established by scientific research and validated by facts and data across the world, prominently by the Yale University. So what did the Yale psychologist Sigal Bursted said? He found out in a study that positive people improve team members' performance, number one. They improve group performance, number two. They reduce group conflict, that's number three. They create more cooperation amongst their fraternity, amongst their organization, and most importantly, they have a proven track record for a greater overall performance for the task at hand. And I quote unquote him in his outcome of the study, the underlining outcome that he found out: positive people improve team members' performance, group performance, reduce group conflict, create more cooperation, and greater overall performance for the task at hand. All this because a person has the foundation stone of being happy. What does happiness mean? Why is happiness important? We'll be looking at all these aspects as we move further. And for this, I'd invite Sandeep sir again back on the spotlight to shed some more light on why we are doing what we are doing and how has his journey been. Sandeep sir, over to
Wonderful.
you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the great, wonderful data that you shared, extraordinary data. That means we enhance many things. In fact, another research very recently done, which says that the productivity of ours improves almost by 12% compared to people who are not happy. And in the book, Happiness Advantage by Sean Acker, where he is mentioning many things, including he says that if you just improve your scale of happiness, you are going to improve your capability as a leader, you improve your health, you improve your wealth. Another research by Adam Grant, which says the wealthiest people are the ones who were happy. That means happy people become wealthier first. It's not about the wealthy people are happy. That may not be the right thing. They say that wealthy people who are already by default wealthy may not be happy, but happy people, they become wealthy and they remain happy after becoming rich. So there are many research for that matter. But coming to our own experience, our direct experience of happiness, one, happiness is a wonderful thing. We know one of us, our probably at a very inner level, we all want to be happy. And that's why we are working towards, we are doing all our job, money, and everything. Ultimately, the happiness is what we want to have. Unfortunately, we get confused about what exactly is this. So let me put it in this way. Technically, as per the science of happiness, there are two kinds of happiness. Two kinds. How many? Two kinds of happiness. One, they call it the hedonic happiness. Hedonic happiness, H. Hedonic. Hedonic means it is about our sensory happiness. All that I need. Good food gives me happiness. I want to have a wonderful time in a beautiful ambience and have food, or I want to watch television, or I want to go to a place where everyone is rejoicing, dancing, I'm having some kind of fun with my friends, happiness. All this can give you happiness. That means everything which has been received through my senses is giving me a kind of happiness. We call it hedonic happiness. Now, research has something to say about this, that this is not a sustainable happiness. That means you are given better and better and better and better food progressively. After some time, you are averse to the food you don't like. You'll be given one ice cream. You have one ice cream, second ice cream, you have the second, third, oh, I don't want, please, not today. That means slowly, as we put more and more of the things that we feel will give us happiness, it doesn't. To the extent it's been seen, even money, which all of us we crave so much, has a limitation. After certain level, I think in the US it is about something around maybe some $80,000 or $180,000 per year. After that level, it doesn't actually add to any happiness. It can add to misery, because more complexity, you are more vulnerable to fraud and all. You start becoming very insecure because you have more money, you have more assets you have to protect. Now, so overall, this is called hedonic happiness. On the contrary, where science of happiness is more interested in, is called eudaimonic happiness. Eudaimonic means, simple term, inner happiness. So one is hedonic happiness, loosely we can put it as outer happiness, and this is inner happiness. Now, inner happiness is, in spite of challenges, difficulties, some problems, I'm still internally calm, composed, and responding in the appropriate manner. There is a challenge, there is a problem. I missed the flight. I failed in a paper. I could not speak properly in an audience, before an audience. Some small thing happened at my place. All these things are happening, but still, internally, I'm still calm, composed, and responding in a very positive manner. That's what they call as eudaimonic happiness. We can simply put it inner happiness. Happiness coaching is actually about that. A happiness coach is not going to give you something wherein you are going to get a lot of money and earn. Yes, that will happen in a different way, but happiness coach, the job is, in spite of the situation that you are dwelling in, you still become happier. Yeah. IBO, it's not IPO, not the initial public offering of a share, but it is far bigger. The inner happiness is bigger than the outer happiness. And one more thing which has been seen, when the inner happiness flourishes, outer happiness happens. And in other words, they call it manifestation. As Dr. Pradyumna said, that optimistic people, happy people, they are better salespeople. Happy people have better relationships. Happy people have better health. To an extent, now it has been seen, the aging process, our biological aging process, also slows down. Technically, doctors would be more better at this. They call the shortening of the telomeres. The two ends of the chromosomes is what leads to biological aging. And happier people, the shortening of the telomeres, it comes down significantly. They say it's to the extent of almost like 22% or 23%. So that is the kind of advantage we get when we become happy. So why not focus on this, which is absolutely under our control? The biggest thing is, it is purely and purely under the control of this person. But that needs somebody to hold hand, somebody to guide, somebody to mentor. And a happiness coach is the one who knows how it can be done. So having said that, let me just quickly take you through my journey itself. I was all through in the corporate, almost for 15 years, I was in hardcore corporate area. I was in production. Then I was in materials management, procurement. Then I was in the CEO's secretariat in the top office for almost 4 years. Then I was in marketing. All through these 4 assignments, I realized, yes, I was doing my job fine. Everything was going okay. Somewhere, something was definitely absent inside me. I was not getting the kind of happiness, bliss, contentment that is needed for a quality life. In fact, it was the reverse. I was stretching too much. I was stressed. And to an extent, I was also internally disturbed and anxious, agitated. And at the age of 28, I had blood pressure medicine. I had to start. And I continued for almost 20 years before I choose to quit the blood pressure medicine. And thankfully, I could quit. So this 15 years, when I apparently did fairly good outside, growing in the organization, serving in the best possible areas, but still internally, I was shallow. I was struggling. I was challenged. And 2008, there was a kind of life-threatening incident happened when me and my son were lost in the jungle and there was a tiger nearby. And that moment, somehow because of a miraculous work of my mind, we got saved. And that time it forced me to think that, boss, this mind is so powerful. Why not study this more and more? And from that point onward, I started getting into cognitive neuroscience, getting into ancient Indian spiritual processes. And then I chose to change my track. From marketing, I came to helping people, developing people in a uh, management training institute of a corporate steel authority, where I almost trained more than 10,000 people on this area and got a wonderful opportunity to get associated with IIT Kharagpur. IIT Kharagpur is the only and one major premier institute in the country to have a research center on the science of happiness. I had the privilege to go there and learn from the best of the best in the world, including Dr. Samdu Chetri was the first executive director and founder of the Gross National Happiness Center at Bhutan, probably one of its kind. And Dr. Chetri is considered to be one of the most regarded, respected figures in the domain of the science of happiness. Got an opportunity to learn from him, also collaborate with him, so much so that he was so much impressed. I don't know for what reason he said that I am learning from you, but it was his greatness to say that. But we still are in touch and doing a lot of collaborative things. We're planning a lot of things to do. And then I chose to come out completely and focus on my coaching and a domain where I can help people to be happy. And many of you are already part of my whole journey, so you know our work. Most of you, I think I know you by name. I have interacted with you so much. So the whole my thought now is how we can make more and more people who can help and serve others by giving them the power of the science of happiness through coaching. And in that process, two great things happens. One, it can be a modality for your profession. That means you can earn from there, becoming a life coach in the domain of the science of happiness. Also, you are doing an amazing job in making the world a happier place. So this is what has been my journey. And last 2 years, 2.5 years, it's been phenomenal. But at the same time, there were ups and downs. And downs are really, really terrible when you are alone and going through this journey. But still, I would say it was a fantastic journey. Now I know what are the things that one need to do so that we can really make this journey a fascinating journey and also which can help others. So the last 2.5 years, I quit my job in 2020 July. From August till this point in time, almost like 2 years plus 4-5 months. But this has been amazing. I have been earning more than what I was. I have been feeling so satisfied because many people whom I know have improved significantly. And now not just they have been improved, they are helping others to become happy. So all these things have been what I have earned in the last couple of years. Having said that, now I would just ask Pradyumna to share how his coaching journey has been before we come back and share some of the nuances of coaching, how the coaching, anyone can pick up this as a skill. Coaching is a skill, and integrating that to happiness so that we can use the science of happiness to help people and make them happier. Not just them make them happier, they can be better leader, brilliant relationship they can create, they can have better productivity, better health, they can be health coach, integrating happiness onto that. They can become corporate coach, integrating happiness onto that. So this is an add-on and super powerful add-on, such a powerful arsenal for any coach that you can really use it to make an impact in the society and also in corporates and students in institutions. So having said that, now to Pradyumna for just few things that you would like to add. Then we'll come back, of course, to give you specifics about coaching.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really wonderful and inspiring to know about your journey, how it has been, and from where the trigger point that transpired you from being the kind of corporate guy you were to being the happiness coach that is creating a massive impact in the society. For me
Thank you.
personally, the journey started almost simultaneously by the time I began my MBBS classes. So, being an academically bright student throughout my school days, I was trying to be amongst the toppers of the national eligibility cum entrance test. That is the NEET examination. It's an entrance test for the for getting into the medical colleges. Needless to say, I was also super confident that I'd be able to make it through. But there were other plans by whatever the superpower you'd like to call it. First time I didn't get through. I was like, okay, it happens to a lot of people. Second time, again, by a strange twist of fate, which is a story for another day, I got through. The paper got quashed, and for the first time in the history of India, pre-India, a paper was cancelled and reconducted in the same session, and that too within a month. And this time I didn't get through. This time, the second time when I didn't get through, this failure provoked me to think deeper about what life is, how it is going about, and what I should be doing. So, in a way, I would call it a blessing in disguise, because at the early age of 19, when people are, I would say, the youngsters are frivolous enough to think about bikes, cars, girlfriends, boyfriends, and so on and so forth. I actually search for the deeper meaning of life and why whatever is happening to me is happening the way it is. Throughout my MBBS, I read a lot of personal development books, did a lot of research on my own, but there was no structure to it. It was only in my internship during the first wave of Corona or COVID-19 that I actually got to know what exactly coaching is, how life coaching or happiness coaching work, and the kind of impact that it can create in a person's life. This for me was like the calling of my life, because I always wanted to create a massive impact, but I never knew how it could be done. I tried and tried. I found out a few ways. I tried and tested those modalities, those methodologies, but somehow they were not working. It was only in the year 2020 when I had the opportunity, and I would say a privilege, that after my internship duties, I could focus time for my personal development. And in this way, I got into this sphere of health coaching and happiness coaching. So, being a certified life coach from multiple institutions, after, or I would say since 2020 December, I have been coaching and training a lot of people. There are one-on-one sessions, there are keynote addresses at various schools or institutions, and at the same time, there are online programs going on. For me, being a happiness coach or a life coach for that matter is the most important thing that I probably could have done in my life, for the simple reason that it creates a massive impact in the person's life that you are coaching. His or her perspective changes. Once that perspective shift happens, not just their own personal life improves, their professional life improves, their relationship improves, their productivity improves. And as Sandeep sir pointed out, there's a plethora of arenas in life that actually opens up for them in ways that they might never have possible to be imagined. They never would have imagined to be possible. So with this, I'd love to invite back Sandeep sir to just throw some light on what our vision going forth is, because as he pointed out, uh, the demand is massive. There's absolutely an urgent sense of requirement, not just in the market, as a social worker, in your families, at different levels, right from schools to big corporate houses. The demand is massive. And for those of you who might be unaware of this fact, the WHO, or the World Health Organization, has pointed out to the fact that the mental health pandemic is imminent. Whether it happens in the next 4 years or 14 years is just a matter of time after all. But a mental health pandemic is just around the corner. And we are trying our best on a personal level to make sure it doesn't happen in our lifetimes, at least. Better, it should never happen. But at least in our times, when we are here, when we are around, it should not happen. So, what is our vision about this? How we are planning to go forth? Let me invite Sandeep sir again back onto the spotlight. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradimna. So, coming back to the coaching part, I'll be focusing on what a coach needs to become a coach, one, and why we want that. What is our mission? The mission is threefold. One, it is about make ourselves happy than what we are right now. There is no absoluteness of happiness. Yeah, there is, all of us, we can see in a scale of whatever scale, 100 or 10 or 5, whatever, we can see ourselves in some range. Maybe somebody is at 10, somebody is at, maybe put him or her in 7 or 8. So it varies, right? So how we can enhance our degree of happiness. So when I say, when we see how to vary the degree of happiness, we need to know some of the elements how to measure happiness. So a coach is somebody who has got two ideas. One, he or she can understand what is the range, where is the person at this point located in the scale of the happiness. And then also, so that is the first thing. We need to know the present condition with respect to ourselves, with respect to the person that we want to coach. So once we know that, our ability to improve that, the second thing is we need to improve that. So first thing is about a kind of a diagnosis. It can be an intuitive diagnosis, or it can be a very objective diagnosis using some questionnaire. Either of these two, both are important. So anyone here who wants to be a life coach, especially in the happiness coaching domain, needs to have understanding about little bit of psychology. It's not a very, kind of a psychology mastery or PhD. It is just understanding the basics of the human psychology. Not necessarily a PhD can match somebody who has got life experience. If you are really, really aware person living in the society, you can beat many psychologists. Even I've seen people who are having psychology degree, but probably not as as they do not have that acuity to really find out who is where and what needs to be done. So that is the first thing, how to learn those nuances. So if you have life experiences, I believe all of us who are here, they do have substantial life experience, and they have worked with many people. With their family, they have interacted, with others, they have interacted. So this is one thing which you want. First, they would see themselves, see where they are and how they can increase that. That's number one. They call it the happiness set point. There is a wonderful word, happiness set point. Earlier, they used to think that this is somewhere it is stuck. You cannot change much. Yes, the hedonic happiness aspect cannot be changed. But when we go to the inner happiness, we can change it in such a manner with some practices that our happiness set point, by default, our brain would be trained to happy. So that's the first thing. How to do that? That's number one. That you have to learn, appreciate. If you are talking to somebody, you can quickly figure out what would be the range where he or she is. And there you can work on and add that feature, or understand that feature in the person, understand that level or degree of happiness in that person, and starting with you. So who would you impact? Yourself, your family members, relatives, and the larger society. If you have that kind of an urge, if you have that kind of an intention and intense intention, then you should actually go for this kind of profession of happiness coaching. Need to have life experience, and also need to learn the nuances of how to understand others' mind, how to understand the psychology of others. So a little bit of psychological input is needed, and then application of the psychology so that we can improve. That's the first step. The second step is, once I know this is the problem, so once we do the diagnosis, once the diagnostics are done, now it's time for us to do the repair, do the changes, do the transformational things in that individual. How that can be done? Again, it needs the life coaching skills. And I know we all do it very intuitively. Some people do it in a very innately, they have those capabilities, but there are systematic scientific steps where you know how to question, how to understand, and make the individual realize and become aware of the problem. Coaching, let me put it very clearly, coaching is not consulting. There is a big difference. Consulting is like a doctor is a consultant. You go to a doctor gives you a tablet, and you take it, and you are done. Now, coaching is a little different. And here we are actually looking at coaching and mentoring. When we add coaching and mentoring here is something like this. A consultant, you can go to a doctor who is a heart surgeon or a heart specialist. Now, he would give you all the consultancy that you should get up early in the morning, go for a morning walk and reduce your fat. You should also have a good, healthy diet. And then you ask the doctor, Dr. Saab, do you do all these things? The doctor would smile, no, I just give the consultancy for this. So the consultant, but the coach is little different, and the mentor is very different. So the coach and mentor, where we are saying life coach is actually more of a mentor. Life coach is different from a sports coach. Yeah. Like Sachin Tendulkar's coach might not have played for India, but he can find out how he can question Sachin Tendulkar, how he can tell Sachin Tendulkar in which way he should communicate that he would get the best out of this boy, Sachin Tendulkar, or anybody for that matter, or Virat Kohli, or anyone, Sania Mirza, anybody, or Saina Nehwal, anybody for that matter. Now, the coach is somebody who knows how to ask and get the best out of it. So when we are talking about a life coach also applies these things in his or her life, where he not just gives recommendation, not just have those ideas, how to put the question rightly, how to give the statement, how to motivate the other guy so that he would do or she would do the right thing, but also be a role model. So life coach is also having some nuances of role modeling. That means if you are saying something, you are also practicing to a certain extent, and you have experienced it in your life. So we also encourage that. That's the reason why I said, when you become a life coach, happiness life coach here, you first need to work upon you, how to become happy. Once you experience that, yes, this is what is working for me, now you have the power, or you are authorized to go in to apply it for others. So that's the second thing. That means you are practicing it, you know how to diagnose, and after diagnosis, you are practicing certain things so that you can improve. Now you can diagnose the same thing in others and help them practice with certain questioning and certain kind of communication with which you can motivate them to follow. Motivation and inspiration are big things in case of a coaching business. And questioning, wherein you are not actually telling him to do something or telling her to do something, you are putting a seed in the mind of that person so that that seed flowers and he becomes what you want, or what he or she aspires to become. So you are constantly giving that kind of a empowering. Coaching is more about empowering rather than just helping. It's not helping, not supporting, it is empowering. So finally, the third aspect of a coach, life coach, is to make that permanent, what we call integration. It's not just that you have given all the things and the person has now learned all those practices and doing those practices. No, that's not the end of it. Internally, he transforms. That transformation is what we want. For example, let me give you a simple example. Somebody you are helping to drive a car. Yeah, you are giving him all the ideas. As a coach, you are helping let's say your son or daughter, you are asking her or him to drive a car. Now you know that he is driving, she is driving, and she's now able to drive on the streets. But that's not the end of it. What is the end? He or she becomes such proficient that now she need not even think about driving a car or think about clutch, accelerator, brake and gear and all those stuffs when driving it in a busy place. How? You have put that thing into a repetition to such level that it has become a subconscious program. It has become an integrated part of him or her. Similarly, happiness is all about it. How a coach helps the person not just to learn and leave. It is about learn, leave, and practice, and then leave a legacy. That means take it further, helps other people also to do that. So that's what I thought I will share, as we are have taken a little more time probably. Now, that's what we are saying. So what are these? Three things. One, diagnosis. First, we need to understand and diagnose the issue through certain tools and techniques which a coach must know, and also have the experience, the awareness to do it, the life experiences. So that's first, diagnosis. The second one is the input for transformation. And third is making it integrated. First to start with self, then for family, then for the world. So let us all write SFW. Transform yourself, then the family, then the world. If you understood this is the coaching here we are talking about, is transforming yourself, transform your family, transform the world around you. And that's what is the objective of this coaching, what I thought we all can embrace. And three things: you have to diagnose it, know the practices, understand the practices, apply those, and not just apply and leave it after some time. Make it such that it becomes integral part of your life. Yeah. So now let me ask Dr. Pradyumna to unmute and speak. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful listening from you about how a happiness coach or a life coach for that matter goes about doing his business. And to summarize what you have said, a coach's job is not to give directives or principles, you do this, you do that. A coach's job is to communicate effectively in such a way and ask questions, probing questions in such a way that a person's innate intelligence functions, flowers, and brings the best out of him, no matter which area of life you're coaching. That was beautifully put by Sandeep sir over here. Now, I would like to share our vision. Sandeep sir and I were discussing on a particular day about what's happening in the domain of mental health and emotional health. How, as a country, as a world, we are not necessarily taking the right steps, the long strides forward that we should have been taking or we might have been taking, and how the WHO's prediction of an imminent mental health pandemic is literally a threat to the entire existence of humanity. So we were just casually discussing, and this idea came up. We thought, why not prepare and train people, become coaches, and in turn leave a legacy of their own? Why not train people to help others unfurl their fullest potential and live a life of their dreams? Why not we, as trainers and coaches, do our bit to save the planet? Because after all, a mental health pandemic means you and I won't be spared. No one will be spared. If none of us are spared, the future looks dark and gloomy, right? So we are here to offer you probably, or not probably, the most unique kind of experience. This is the first of its kind, completely made in India happiness life coaching certification process. What do I mean by completely made in India? You see, our Rishi, Munis, sages, and seers have told all the secrets of a happy living millennia ago. They found it out through tapas, through their meditation, through their own inquisitive methods of research. They have passed it down, and the legacy continues. However, due to the various factors, historical and cultural, in the due course of time, particularly over the last 500, 600 years, we have kind of distanced ourselves from those knowledge. So here we are with the science of happiness, backed by modern research, analysis, and studies, and at the same time, coupling all Eastern philosophy, spirituality, and related aspects, which we term under the umbrella category of science of happiness, which cuts across cognitive neuroscience, behavioral psychology, at the same time, Eastern subjective spirituality and practices. So, this certification will enable you not just to make the diagnosis, it will enable you not just to do proper interventions and create an impact in the other person's life. It will not just enable you to create a lasting legacy, a massive impact in the society, but at the same time, as Sandeep sir said, can add to a different avenue, a different stream of income to your portfolio. So this completely unique made in India happiness life coach certification will have four aspects to it. The first aspect is, as Sandeep sir said, about diagnosis. The first aspect is science of happiness, the fundamentals of it. What all is included? What all are the different modalities? What is the basics of psychology that one should know to be able to proceed further in this field of happiness coaching? The second is related to intervention. What is life coaching per se? What are the skills that are needed? What are the skills of questioning? What is active listening? How do you proceed further? How do you make the necessary communications, non-verbal communications, and so on and so forth? This is in the second part, that is the basics of life coaching, the skills of life coaching. The third aspect is the business of coaching. How do you position yourself in the market? How do you narrow down to your niche? You see, as I told in the beginning, happiness is the fundamental, the foundation stone of one's success. No matter which field of life you're aiming to succeed in, no matter what your area or profession is, A happy mind is always a successful person. So, just to concise and crisply put forth before you, the business of coaching is largely about you narrowing down to your niche, finding out the right branding and marketing strategies, positioning yourself in the right way, and then conducting sessions, one on one or group sessions, to make a living out of it. You see, life coaching is not just a growing career option abroad. Even in India, it has started to find its feet to an extent that there are life coaches who are earning, whose sole stream of income is through their coaching business. So this is covered in the third aspect, which is the basics of coaching. The fourth and the final aspect, it's kind of a bonus from our side, is the hand holding that we'll be providing until you launch. This is weekly like we have weekly mastermind sessions. So four of them, and we'll be hand holding you for almost around 1 month to make sure you make the best out of the learned technologies, tools, and techniques and methodologies to make the best out of your coaching practice. So just to summarize crisply, we'll be talking about the science of happiness and the fundamentals and modalities of psychology. We'll be talking about the life coaching skills. We'll be talking about the business of coaching, how you can position yourself, how you can find out your niche, what is the marketing or branding strategies that you can be applying. And last but not the least, we won't leave you there. We'll make sure you learn and implement it with us. So there will be a hand holding process for 1 month, which will include mastermind sessions weekly. Each of these aspects, each of these portions or training modules in itself is a course that is sold by some or the other foreign company in India. But we have clubbed it together, and most importantly, this is a completely made in India certification course so that we imbibe the Indian values, we imbibe the knowledge that was ancient, and at the same time, cumulatively assimilate it with the modern research, studies, analysis, and uh, whatever data that is around us, and ultimately transform it or translate it rather as a successful coaching business. Now, why do I call it coaching business? Aren't we supposed to talk about how we are creating a massive shift in the society, a massive impact in the society, and at the same time making or leaving a lasting legacy? Yes, it's all about that. But at the same time, it involves a holistic process of win-win-win situation, not just for you, but for your family, your relatives around you, not just for you, but for the coachee or the client you are dealing with, and ultimately, not just for you, but the world around us. So happy you, happy family, and a happy world. Its time has come. Let's make it happen. And we are here to offer that through the Happiness Life Coach certification that we are here to provide you. So, what we have done here is to make sure that each one of you can participate, learn, and in turn take these tools of well being to the society and in turn create a lasting legacy. We have literally compiled all this in the most unique and transformative way that's possible and brought forth with you to you. We just hope and wish that you make sure you attend this training in turn and thereby transforming the lives of people, because after all, this certification course is something that we envision to be our tiny little effort in the process of creating a conscious humanity, a conscious planet, a happy planet. And we can all be just measures from the Almighty to make sure this spreads. It's a 33-day program. Now, you see, everything that we have planned is for a very scientific reason. Just to give you a little perspective of why 33, you see, the Indian spirituality and Indian philosophy always believe there are 33 stairs to heaven. What is heaven? After all, if I were to talk in modern terms, a heaven is just a happy person, a place of happiness, right? At the same time, I'll compile and combine it with my modern medicine studies. You see, there are 33 vertebrae. The spinal cord that we have is 33. The yogic traditions believe that these spinal cord, the vertebra, this spine is the axis of our universe. Because you see, after all, what Sandeep sir called as eudaimonic happiness is fundamentally our own experience, our own perception. Now, these three data or facts given to you might mean nothing. But what if you compile all these three and realize, okay, herein lies a key to a happy life, a place of happiness. And there are things like these that we'll be discussing over the course of these 33 days. Not just that, help you and enable you to facilitate or conduct your own sessions, either one-on-one or in a group setting. All this is for the introductory launch cohort of just 20 people that we'll be taking, a sum of 14,999, that is 14,999 only.
So to put it very simply, we have as a coach, there are a few things that we already have just had an understanding of. And I would urge all of you just to take note of this. If you can take a note of the things that we discussed. Let me summarize what we actually shared with you. When we say happiness as something which gives a lot of advantage, and there is a book. Let me also share some of the books. The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acker, How of Happiness by Sonia Lubrimsky, and Give and Take by Adam Grant. All of these books, and there are many more. There are many more such books which are very hard researched outcomes. And these books have suggested happiness works like magic, not just as of your experience. It also gives you that added benefit advantage of success in life, better health, better relationships, better career growth, and many more other advantages. So this is the first aspect, that happiness has a lot of advantage. That's what we discussed. Next, we discussed about if happiness has all this advantage. There's some statistical thing that we see that 56% of better in terms of cells if you are optimistic and happy. So all these 12% more productive, better, slow down your aging process by almost 20%. All these things are advantage of happiness. Better leader, better salespeople. So that's what we discussed in terms of what is the advantage. Now, how to achieve that advantage, how people can actually get it through certain processes. And a happiness coach can facilitate that. What are the 3 steps that we discussed? One, you need to understand, diagnose the happiness itself. How we know how happy or unhappy I am. First, me. So how to get that? What are the parameters that I need to see which will help me know that I am here or where? So that's one. Second, I need to know if this is the level where I am, what are those specific gaps, lacuna, so which I need to bridge. So that's the second step. The transformational, I call it the transformational blueprint. What are the steps that I need to take? And I start taking those transformational journey. The third step is, so I start doing the practices. But the third step is actually integrating it. Integration is a different practice from learning at a basic level. So when we do the practices, we learn at a basic level. But to make it integrated, we become that. A transformational from inside out needs certain other qualities. And a coach can make that happen. Some people, they learn some distance and then leave it. A coach actually pushes and makes that integral part of the coaching. So these 3 things we need to learn. Then how to do it in a complete thing, it has to be a coaching process. That's also we are going to share. So coaching process is questioning. Coaching process is about how we put the right thing so that person gets motivated and empowered. Coaching is not about giving a consultancy, as I mentioned. So write down the difference between a consultancy and coaching. A life coach is the one who also practices what he preaches. A consultant may not be, a doctor or a person who is doing consulting in some area may not be following the same thing that he is consulting. A best of architect may not be doing the best of architecture for his house. He may not be having a house at all. So consultant is giving something and saying you to do this much. But coach and a mentor is telling you, giving you and empowering you and also making him or her a role model. So before you take it further, you have to become a role model of that. You, family, and the world. That's what we discussed. Become a role model, then you go to the family, then you go to the world. So this is the journey a coach should have. And that's what I thought I'll summarize.